Hey there. So I hope whatever time of day it is where you are, you're having a good morning, day, evening, and I appreciate you clicking play and tuning in. The goal of this video is to continue to share success tips, inspiration, stories, ideas to help keep you on the learner's journey and not sitting on the sidelines. So last week I shared the first installment of what I'm calling a learner's journey. And it's basically going to be a series of emails. Some of them will be video, some of them will be written. But the goal will be to keep you motivated, give you ideas if you're stuck, all that good stuff. Because learning can really stink sometimes. And I know for me, many of you know I have a background in education. I spent 12 years as an elementary school teacher. And I remember that when I was teaching and I was learning all about the learning process, that I kept feeling like, gosh, I wish I would have learned this when I was a kid, because a lot of it was learning how to learn. And as my time as an instructor, as a Pirelli instructor, I also saw students really struggling with that because learning can be really hard. It can be really uncomfortable. And there isn't a playbook for it that, we're just born with. So that's my goal here, is to share some ideas that I've used in my own journey that have worked well for me or that I've seen work really well for other students. So I want to share a concept with you of basically self-compassion and being nice to yourself, which is funny that I'd say that because it is one of the things that I think I will continually need to learn for the rest of my life. It is so easy to be hard on myself, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this. And I think often we are our own worst critic, and we say things to ourselves that we would never say to someone else, especially someone that we care about. So a couple years ago, I took a course from a woman her life's work is studying self-compassion. And I signed up for the course because the way she described it really resonated with me. And she basically was saying, are you being a jerk to yourself? Are you saying, are you kind of getting in your own way? And the course was really eye-opening for me. But one thing that she shared really stood out, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. And that is, it's basically this 3-step process. So it's something that you can put into practice today. And I highly encourage you to do it because it continues to be a game changer for me. And it's something that I'll forget, I'll go about my days, weeks, months, and find myself back in the pattern of not being very nice to myself. And then this comes up and I rediscover it, and it's amazing. So basically, the idea is that most humans have a pattern that we follow when we deal with something uncomfortable, an uncomfortable feeling. We go through 3 steps. The first step is we identify, or we feel the uncomfortable feeling. And maybe we don't even, identify it, but we feel uncomfortable. We feel sad. We feel embarrassed, whatever it is, fill in the blank of the uncomfortable feeling. Then the second step most humans go through, and I'm willing to say like 95% of humans, there are very few people I've ever run into that don't share this pattern. So the second thing that we typically do after we feel the uncomfortable feeling is we start to say things like, I'm the only one that feels this way. We look around, maybe we're in a clinic, we look around the people in the clinic, everybody else seems to be having a great time. We look around the party, whatever the setting is, Facebook, and we start to tell ourselves that we're the only one. So we basically isolate ourselves. So now we're feeling the negative feeling, we're feeling isolated, and then to top it all off, step 3 is we start to tell ourselves really horrible things. So, you're never going to get this. You're the only one, whatever it is, and we tend to have patterns of things that we'll tell ourselves. So that is really, really human. And it's very common in the learning process. So, what Kristen Neff, the woman who taught this course, what she did is she came up with another 3-step process that you can go through that is a much more healthy way to look at things and a much more realistic way of looking at things. So, step 1 is the same. You're feeling an uncomfortable feeling, and you might name it, like, I'm feeling scared, whatever it is, I'm feeling nervous. Then the second step is basically the opposite of the other one. So instead of telling yourself you're the only one, you are more realistic and you tell yourself, this is a part of being human, or this is a part of being a learner, whatever it is. But if when you try this out, I would use something simple like, this is just a part of being a learner or being human. So instead of isolating yourself, you're actually connecting to the rest of humanity, which is, again, way more realistic. And then the third part, and this was super uncomfortable for me when I first did this, but the third part is, instead of reaming yourself and beating up on yourself, sit down and even write it out. Think about if a friend were to come to you and tell you how they were feeling, to tell you that the same feelings that you're having. So I'll stick with scared. I'm feeling scared. I am worried that I'm going to make a big mistake. I know this is part of being human. And then if you had a friend come and tell you that, what are some of the things that you'd say to them? You'd probably point out their strengths. I know you've been in this situation before and you've worked through it. You're a kind, caring person, whatever it is. And write those things out and actually say those things to yourself. I remember when I first heard it, I was like, okay, I'll try it. It felt like kind of corny, but it's really powerful. And I also feel like, I've spent most of my life practicing the other one. Why not give this new way a shot? So I hope you try it out. I think you'll find it really enlightening. And if you're anything like me, you'll need a lot of repetition. And so maybe even set a goal for yourself for the week, each day, sitting down and practicing it. And you might think about something that you experienced the day before or in the past, so you can practice doing it. And then when negative emotions come up, because they will, you can try it out in real time. So thank you for listening to this. I hope that it gives you some ideas. And if nothing else, I hope it helps you remember that you're not alone in this learning journey. And we all often have very similar feelings going through it. So I hope you'll join in next week. I'm going to share another strategy that you can use. And I'm grateful that you're a part of my journey, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.